At
Right.
that time, I couldn't do nothing because I didn't think outside the box. You know what I mean? All I was thinking, am I going to be okay to come back? All I was worrying about is when I'm going to be back, if I'm going to be back. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, but I had really bad depression, and the drink took over, and I got serious, and it took me about 3 years, maybe 4 years to get over it, and it took me a long time to get over it. But finally, I got over it, and I've started seeing things a lot clearer now. After I went off the drink and I understand my body and knew what I can do. I've been through it, and it's not a nice place to be. And I've seen a lot of good people who could never come out of it and will never get the chance to come out of it. And it's very upsetting, especially in this part of the world where we live. It's serious at the moment. So that's my new aim, is pushing it, mental health awareness and all people, young and old, because it does happen to everybody, and no matter who you are, if you're a multimillionaire or you're just a person who works and sweeps the roads on the roads, you know what I mean? It's serious. So don't be shy. It's okay. It's okay to not be okay.
Right. Yeah. And
Like you hit the nail on the head at the end there. You have to look after you. You have to sort yourself out before you can help anybody else.
right.
And my biggest problem, I was more worried about the family and my kids and my wife. What am I going to do if I do this, if I do that? I was thinking about everybody else. And the thing is, like, if you're not well, you're not going to be able to help anybody. So you have to be 100% focused on yourself first. It's not great. It's not selfish, because it's like anything in life. It's not selfish. You have to be okay. And my biggest problem was out of it as well was I was more worried about what everybody else was thinking.
Right.
Instead, and now I understand. Like, I don't care what anybody else thinks. If anybody thinks bad things about me, I don't need them in my life.
Right.
I've got more good friends than I ever had in my whole life when I was a professional footballer, because I had friends. I thought they were friends, but they're not. They're only there because you're a
Yeah.
professional footballer, and that's what I learned, and I learned that over the years, and that's why I open up to everybody and speak about my problems and what happened in my personal life, because I don't care what people think about me. I'm Roy Carroll. I'm a young lad. I was going to say young. I shouldn't say young. An old man from Northern Ireland now. You know
You're
what
an
I mean?
old man from Northern Ireland.
From Northern
That
Ireland.
1% we're looking for, that Sam and I are looking for to get you out of your comfort zone.
But darling, on my mind, I'm feeling so fly up in the zone now. I'm like a golden crown, whirling high up in the sky. Oh, it's the way you make me feel so good right now. It's the way you make me feel so good.
I'm Roy Carroll. I played for Manchester United. I played 45 times for Northern Ireland. I had really good times. I had bad times at Manchester United as well, but the good times was when I won the Premier League and the FA Cup, but closed doors.
Good save, real chance. Sneaking this set. First one. Great save by Roy Carroll. We were here.
Hey guys, welcome to Coffee and Leadership with Pros. And today I'm so excited. This is Coach Amanda, by the way, but so excited today to have Roy Carroll, former Manchester United and Olympiacos goalkeeper. And I'm not going to steal his thunder because he has a resume that is absolutely amazing. But Roy, thank you for coming on and taking the time to speak with us. Can you tell us a little bit of your background briefly, and then we'll get into it?
Yeah, no, Kimia, thanks for them kind words. It's great to see you again. It's been a long time. But
Yes.
I've started off. I'm Roy Carroll. I played for the biggest team I played for was Manchester United, but I've played for West Ham as well. And I moved to Greece and played in Greece for the biggest team in Greece was Olympiacos. So I've been around. I played 45 times from my country in Northern Ireland. Represent them in a major tournament in 2016 in the Euros. European finals in France. So it was nice. It's nice. I had a nice, decent career, but I really enjoyed playing the game. I'm not getting any younger. I'm still playing at the moment. Funny enough, I'm still playing at the moment at 43 years old in the Irish League, and we've got one more game, and I think that could be my last game, and I might call it retirement again because
I don't know.
body's getting tired.
I don't know. I give it 1 year off and you'll be back at it for another season at this rate.
I tell you the truth. You never say never in football because you don't know what will happen in football.
True.
You get the ups and downs in the game, especially in this game. You get ups and downs, but I had a lot of good ups in the game as well. I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. Yeah, you I mean, talk about experiences. When you were at Manchester United, you were with Tim Howard. Who else was there while you were there?
I was there with Fabian Barthez was there as well. So
Yes.
it was, he won everything in international football with France and quality keeper. He just went through a little bad time at Manchester United in his last few years of his career at United. But Tim Howard came over from America, and he was different class, really, really nice guy as well. And I learned a lot from him as well. But we learn from each other. Keepers always learn from each other. And
Right.
as long as you've got a good attitude and give people respect, and that's what we try and do as goalkeepers.
Yeah, it's the goalkeeper union is so important, you know. And I have Tim Howard's book where he actually references you in his book, The Keeper, as well, about playing with you, and commented often throughout the book about from his time here in the MLS to the national team, and then when he went to Man U, how you guys made each other so much better. How you guys gave each other even harder shots, pushed each other even harder, but that's what made you guys so great. And I think that's so important for every goalkeeper that's listening, or goalkeeping coach, or coach in general, is that goalkeeping union is sacred. But if you are a goalkeeper, set aside the insecurities. Yes, we're all competing for that one spot, but we can all learn from each other, you know?
Yeah, I always say goalkeeping is a difficult position because you only got one position to play.
Right.
Depends what team you're playing at. You could have 3, maybe 4 keepers fighting for that one spot. But I've been in so many teams, and most of the keepers I've been with were fantastic with me. Even if they were playing in front of me, I give them a pat in the back. But of course, you want to play, and that's what football's all. I call it soccer. Sorry, soccer.
They know.
That's what it's all. That's what it's all about. Though you want to play, but you still want the team to play well as well, because you don't want your team to lose and nothing like that. There, and Tim Howard came in, and he was a breath of fresh air when he came in. He was a great guy. We got on really well. My last game was with Manchester United in the FA Cup final 2005, and we lost in penalties. And the first person that came up to me was Tim Howard, give me a big hug, and said, "Unlucky, there's nothing you can do in penalties.
Right.
You could be a hero. You could be a hero if you save one." But that's what goalkeepers have to do, and it's difficult. It's very difficult. But that's what we're in the game for. We have to be mentally tough and prepare for any time you're going to play a game.
Right. It's so critical. It's just understanding. You know, I did a podcast with a sports psychologist a few weeks ago, and she's a former D2 coach, and which Division II college sports here. And she said she loves goalkeepers. She's like, the fact that you guys can sit there and you train as hard as you do to maybe only hold on to the ball, or, you know, take possession of the ball 1 to 2 minutes the entire game collectively, and fail over and over and over again and still want to get up and try again and come to practice is amazing. You know, most field players can't handle that. I think that's, you know, a lot of what I want to build into with the mental health. It's, I'm not sure if over in Ireland, it's Mental Health Awareness Month for you guys, but here in the United States, the month of May is mental health awareness, and just breaking the stigma of getting people to be more open. If you're struggling behind closed doors, you know, talk to somebody, talk to a friend, talk to a counselor, a psychologist, etc. Get help. Don't try to fight it alone. And we'll get to that in just a brief moment. But I want to ask you this one question based on your experience. What professional goalkeeper did you play with? taught you the most, and what did they teach you, and how did it impact your life?
See, that's the one. It didn't impact me straight away, but it impacted me 12, 15 years later, and that was Fabian Barthez. He came up one time in training and says, we're not goalkeepers, we're footballers. And then you see what goalkeepers are all about now, playing out from the back, using your feet, being more involved. You're the spare man at the back to help your defenders. It probably more impacted me when I became a coach, because that's when most of the things all changed around as a goalkeeper. And Fabian Barthez told me this in 2000, and I think it was 2002. So that was a long time ago when he said that.
Yeah, I was 15.
I was 10. Anyhow, he was. That's the difference. What he was. I think the French football. That's what the French football was all about back in them days. It came in the United Kingdom when things changed in United Kingdom with a lot of foreign managers coming into the country and changing the style of Premier League, and it had changed a lot. And goalkeeping, modern day goalkeeping is all about preparing keepers to play out with the feet. But my modern day goalkeeper is, yes, play out with your feet, but keep that ball out of the back of the net.
Right.
That's my view as well.
Right. One of my mentors told me, he said, it's your job to just keep the ball out of the net. Stop overcomplicating things. You know, if you're going to parry the ball, don't put it in traffic, and keep it out of the net, communicate, lead, and just play the game and have fun. That's all you got to do. It's like
yeah, 100% right. But that's what I'm saying to young keepers now, who's 15 to 16, 17-year-olds. That says, like, we're not just goalkeepers, we're coaches. We have to, you know what I mean, we're coaches as well. We organise, and we're managers, we're captains, you name it. We're everything. We have to organise. You speak to the centre halves, you have to shout. If you shout at the centre half, you have to realise which one you can shout at, because you might upset one and he might take it the wrong way. And that's the way I've learned in my career as well. Because back in the late 90s, 2000s, the managers used to come in and shout go mad at you and saying, you're doing this, you have to do this better and all that. But now it's more, you have to be more thinking what you're going to say to the right people, you know what I mean? Because some people might take it the wrong way, and that's what the football game's turning out to be like. You see subs coming off now in the game, you put your arm around them, you give them a hug and say unlucky. My day, you come off, you get a slap around the head and say you're awful, get off the pitch, you know what I mean? But that's football now. It's just changed, completely changed.
It's a different world, but it's a business at the end of the day too. I think that's why football players move so much, managers move so much. Mourinho was what is probably still the best manager in the world. Like, and he got released from Manchester United, got released from Spurs, and now he's at Roma. He's had 3 clubs in 6 years. It's one of those situations now. Over here, when you're at a club for 10 years, you get a testimonial game at the end of the 10 years. And I can't see that ever happening again, because with the way the game is going, because there's so much money in the game, so much big prizes in the game. The managers have to succeed straight away. They don't have enough time to change things around, and that's the biggest problem in the game at the moment, all over the world. I mean, do they even get to coach, or is it just so much more business for a lot of the managers than it is actually, coach focused? I feel like it's kind of moved in that direction,
I think it's changing, because when I played in Greece, when I was in Denmark, I didn't really understand the director of football. And now it's getting over in the United Kingdom as the director of football who brings the players in. And some managers may say, I want you to go out and look for some players. But when Sir Alex was at Manchester United, it was like he was in charge. He was in charge with who comes in and who came out, who goes out, sorry. And now it's more like you don't call them managers anymore. You call them head coaches.
Right.
And they coach the players and get them prepared for the game on a Saturday. And that's the thing, what's happening in football now, because you have a director of football who looks over everything, and he's not even, you probably won't even see who it is because he's never on the TV. So you've got the head of coach who gets the bullet if he doesn't win games, and that's football.
Right. It's
Yeah, but I'm hoping that in England, like Ollie at Manchester United, he picks the team and he's the manager at Manchester United. I'd
Right.
hope that doesn't go away, because you need to have managers in charge of the team and in charge of transfers and stuff like that, because it's football. You have to give them a chance in the game. But we keep going back to the business now. It's a business. For me, when I was a young lad, it was something I enjoyed. It's a hobby for me. It was a
Right.
hobby. I love playing the game. But when I moved to England, it was a different story. It was like the pressure of getting in the first team, pressure of keeping the first team spot. It turns out that it's a job. You have to work, you have to fight, because that's your bread and butter. That's what brings the money into your house and feed the family. So
Yeah.
you have to work, and it turns out it's a full-time job then. But
Right.
and I that's the thing. A lot of players put themselves under pressure. You see, they have to try and perform week in, week out. You have to perform because there's so many TV channels talking about your performance. So many pundits
Twitter.
out there talking. Yeah, who. I never knew there were so many goalkeeping coaches on TV these days, because all these outfield players know everything about goalkeeping. It makes me laugh sometimes.
I'd like to put them in goal and see how they do. My odds are still with the goalkeepers, not the field players. How is a professional player, and I think this is relevant to anybody who's a professional player who's listening, how do you manage that full-time job? Because ultimately on paper, you are being paid to perform. You are a business transaction, but at the same time, manage the love for the game. How did you find that balance?
See, I'm going to go down a wee story here, which I learned as I had a back injury at West Ham, and that's one thing. What I really serious had was a back injury, and I was out for quite a long time with my back. I had an operation and everything with it. And my problem was, all I knew was football. That's all I knew. I never knew, like, I trained every day. I played every weekend if I was lucky. Get in the team, play every weekend. But then this injury stopped me for about 10 months, maybe 11 months. And I had nothing else to fall back on. I had nothing else to put my mind to, because I was brainwashed. I want to be a professional footballer. And I got that opportunity. So when I had that injury, I didn't know what to fall back on. All I was thinking, am I going to get back from this injury? And that's I couldn't deal with that. And that was my problem. But I learned from that. And I done little things outside football as well. Try and go out and do things, other things. I have my dogs. I take my dogs for a walk now. I've got things I can do if I can't train. I might just do go on the computer and do little things, do Zoom chats and stuff like that. What you can do now, and just keep your mind ticking over instead of worrying about football, because sometimes you have to turn off from the game. And that was my problem. I could never turn off from it. And now, when I got older, I think you see more sense. You see things and you understand things more. And I can turn off the game. But one thing I don't like is losing. And it takes me quite a while to get over losing. That's one thing I would never. I don't think I can get over that. You see, I think that was just bred into me. And I don't like losing, and it takes me a while to get over that. But once I get back in the training, it's different. But everything else, especially injuries. If any player can go through a career without getting an injury and missing 6 months of the career, they'd be very, very lucky, because football it's a very intense sport. You're always going to pick up an injury. So please, anybody listening to me here, just please have something else outside football.
Right. Do you mind sharing what was when you did find this out that you needed to take some time off, was the walking your dogs then was you're out?
No, I never had dogs then. I never had dogs then, because I never had my dogs then. But I couldn't really do much, because I had a really serious back injury, so I couldn't do much. I played golf and stuff, but I couldn't even do playing golf. But at that time, I couldn't do nothing, because I didn't think outside the box. You know what I mean? All I was thinking, am I going to be okay to come back? All I was worrying about is when I'm going to be back, if I'm going to be back. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, but I had really bad depression, and the drink took over, and I got serious, and it took me about 3 years, maybe 4 years to get over it, and it took me a long time to get over it. But finally, I got over it, and I've started seeing things a lot clearer now. after I went off the drink and I understand my body and knew what I can do. I love going out and talking to school, go to schools and talk to kids and talking about mental health and go to football clubs and talk about mental health as well. I just talk to people because I've been through it. And it's not a nice place to be. And I've seen a lot of good people who could never come out of it and will never get the chance to come out of it. And it's very upsetting, especially in this part of the world where we live. It's serious at the moment. So that's my new aim, is pushing at mental health awareness and all people, young and old, because it does happen to everybody, and no matter who you are, if you're a multi-millionaire or you're just a person who works and sweeps the roads on the roads, you know what I mean? It's serious. So don't be shy. It's okay. It's okay to not be okay.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I've talked to you about it as well. I struggled many different phases of my life to try to hide it. It's part of the reason why we started the podcast, was to talk about issues like this and let people know and break that stigma of, hey, it's okay to talk to people. My question for you, I think there's pro athletes out there that are struggling, and I think there's even just people, some that are in the limelight and the others who are not. But how did you find somebody you could trust at the level you're at? I mean, because I imagine paparazzi, reporters, Twitter, they're gonna, take things out of context for somebody at your level of the game, especially over there. How do you find somebody to talk to that is safe if you are fearing your struggle may get out to the public?
Yes, it was very difficult. I think it's if you ever watch the players over here, it's always when they've finished playing football when they come out and speak about it.
Right.
As I said before, it's our job, and they play soccer, and the biggest problem is coming out and trying to admit it to the club, because the club doesn't want any baggage. They want players who are fit, ready to go, and that was my problem. I never came out and spoke to anybody about it. I had the press sitting outside my house when I was in rehab to try and sort myself out with the alcohol and the depression. Nobody knew I had depression. Everybody thought I was a fantastic lad. He's the joker. He's great fun. He's big smile on his face. Let's bring Roy up. He'll come out and have a bit of banter, a bit of fun, and that was my problem. Nobody knew, and I was probably. For me, I didn't want to tell anyone. When I went home and spoke to my wife, knew what was happening. My small children knew what was going on because they seen me in the house, and it was really, really in a bad way. But for me was how can I speak to the club, because this is a job and I have to earn money to pay the house and pay the wife, get the food and stuff like that. There, it was tough, I'm telling you. I think the biggest thing I regret was not coming out at the time. But then you look back and you say, come here, would the club give me another contract? If you had two keepers and I was one of them, I played for my country, I played for Manchester United, and I'm an okay keeper. You have another keeper who's beside me, he's not as good as me, but he has no problems that I have. Right. I think the club would go for the other keeper than me, and that's the problem. It does happen. That's why I think people are too scared to come out and speak about it. And but there over in England and Northern Ireland, there's a lot of helplines now. You can ring up and speak, and you don't have to give your name. You don't have to give your name. You speak out to them and you talk and get everything out of your chest. Because once I opened up and got everything out of my mind, I felt brilliant.
Yeah.
And I've been off the drink for 10 years now, coming up in June.
That is awesome.
And I've spoke to everybody about my problems, and a lot of people text me. A lot of people give me private messages on my Facebook saying, "Roy, you helped me out so much," and that's why I just go to bed and I just think to myself, I'm glad I've helped somebody.
Right.
And it's nice to feel that like it's happening all over the world. It's even in Greece. When I was playing in Greece, Denmark, everybody has problems. Don't have the problems by yourself. Reach out and get help.
Yeah. I remember a few of my mentors in my early 20s, I would ask them to be honest with me about different things. And I'd say, hey, look, this was I thought this made me stronger. It was really the opposite. And I used to say, hey, look, just lay it on me. Be straight up honest with me because you can't hurt me as much as I can hurt myself. And I carried that as a badge of honor until one of my mentors was like, you need to stop saying that. That's not a badge of honor that you can beat yourself up more. You're with yourself more. You should love yourself more. You should be encouraging yourself more than anybody else. That internal dialogue will reflect on the outside of your life too. That's not something to be proud about. And I was just like, really? For me, it was strength. It made me strong. It made me invincible. But I'm sure you can agree, when you go through these things behind closed doors and you get to your lowest lows, you realize you're not invincible. None of us are. We all feels, it's just, how do we choose to deal with them? Do we use alcohol? Do we use drugs? Do we do other self-infliction of other types? Or do we face it head on? And, what I've learned from going through my personal experience, I'm sure you can say the same, Roy, is that when you face it head on, it's scary. It hurts. It feels like a physical agony. But when you go through and you shed all of that and you let it go, you become a better version of yourself, that you thank yourself for going through that, and that it makes you better. And then you can help others around you. I
100% agree. Like that, you hit the nail on the head at the end there. You have to look after you. You have to sort yourself out before you can help anybody else.
Right.
And my biggest problem, I was more worried about the family and my kids and my wife. What am I going to do if I do this, if I do that? I was thinking about everybody else. And the thing is, like, if you're not well, you're not going to be able to help anybody. So you have to be 100% focused on yourself first. It's not great. It's not selfish, because it's like anything in life. It's not selfish. You have to be okay. And my biggest problem was out of it as well was I was more worried about what everybody else was thinking.
Right.
Instead, and now I understand. Like, I don't care what anybody else thinks. If anybody thinks bad things about me, I don't need them in my life.
Right.
I've got more good friends than I ever had in my whole life when I was a professional footballer, because I had friends. I thought they were friends, but they're not. They're only there footballer. And that's what I learned, and I learned that over the years, and that's why I open up to everybody and speak about my problems and what happened in my personal life, because I don't care what people think about me. I'm Roy Carroll. I'm a young lad. I was going to say young. I shouldn't say young. An old man from Northern Ireland now.
You're an old man from Northern Ireland.
From Northern Ireland. But it's true though. How many people will think about, oh, I'm worried what them people think of me?
I think everybody. And we know that because we used to be that way.
That's the thing, you see. And now come here. Like I met you there 2 years ago in America, in Baltimore, and we've been in touch, and it's been fantastic. We talk a lot, and that's what this sports brings to the world. People get in touch. And we talk about things, and we try and help people, and we try and help young keepers to come through difficult times, because they will go through difficult times, and some keepers won't make it, some keepers will make it, and that's the way life is.
Right. And that's the beauty of it, is just like, I mean, I thought it was absolutely hilarious how we connected through my goalkeeping coach, who's from the UK, and just, it was a hilarious circumstances where we kept bumping into each other. But, at that time in my life of, starting, that was 2019. So I had just left my corporate career. I was operating on all faith that everything and all the decision-making was going to be, work out. And it was hard. And just having your belief and encouragement. And when, we were walking through the convention center, and I was showing you just something that we had put together for the kids. And you were just like, this is brilliant. Just having that encouragement from you meant a tremendous amount, in the game, not just because of the level of play, but because of who you are as a person. We all need somebody to believe in us. And what makes it better is when it's tied to this game and not just the game, but goalkeeping. when you understand, because you've been between the pipes and you've seen the failures and the successes of the game on the sidelines and it, while in play there, and now coaching, you're in coaching as well.
Yeah.
It's just, we understand each other's struggles and we can learn from each other. And I think that's no different than when we were playing on the sideline, like we talked about earlier, with the dynamics, of Fabian Barthez and Tim Howard and yourself. You can all learn from each other.
I'm still learning. I'm still learning the game, and I've been playing for so long. I've been playing professional football since I was 17, and it's in my blood. And that's what I'm trying to say to people. Like I bring it back to the kids, and I say the kids come here. I say to the parents, I says, I'm not preparing them to be a goalkeeper. I'm preparing as well to be a person in this world. You know what I mean?
Right.
Confident, believe in themselves. We all goalkeeping coaches. We're all trying to get them to be goalkeepers, but we're preparing them for life as well, because there's a lot of kids that came into my goalkeeping school in Northern Ireland, and they come in, they're so shy, they're so quiet. And by a year later, they're coming out and they're talking and enjoying the speaking about life, and that's what I want them to do. That's what I would like them to speak about, not just about football, because there's other things in the world as well. Sometimes, you've got so many keepers in the world, and you've got that one position, so there's going to be a lot of disappointed kids. But as long as I can push them in the right direction in life, not just as a goalkeeper, but in life, later on down the line, that's what I love to see.
Right. Let me ask you, if you could go back a few years, I'm being modest, and you could talk to your younger self that was struggling with turning the game off. Okay. Because I can relate. I was that person. You could not get me off the pitch. So, or watching the game. But we all have a threshold. But if you could go back to that younger person, what would you tell them to do? How would you when you're encouraging that younger self to take that rest, how would you encourage them that it's okay, you don't need to have that fear of going backwards in the game? Because if we're honest, that's a lot of it, is we fear we're going to lose something.
Yeah, but we have to be honest as coaches. You know what I mean? Let me talk. We have to be honest as coaches. These kids coming through, they're going to make mistakes, yes, but we have to try and explain to them, develop them to understand. You can make mistakes, but at a certain age, you have to make less mistakes in the game.
True.
Because we can't put it in the minds to say, "Come here, it's okay, I make a mistake. It's okay, I make a mistake." So in the back of the mind, they're saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can make a mistake." So we have to be very careful. We don't give them too much comfort, you know what I mean? Because
it's a good point.
It's a sport. it's a sport where we're going to develop kids to just make mistakes, and we don't want to do that. So that's the thing I'm trying to say to young keepers, who says it's okay to make mistakes at a certain age, coming up to development 18, 19 years old. But if you're still doing the same mistakes, we've got a problem. That's the thing. But for me, going back to your question, how could I turn off if I go back at a younger age? That's just me. I don't think that's just the person I was at the time when I was playing football. I do think about the game a lot, but I do switch off. I turn off, not straight after the game. Maybe I turn off the next day, think about the game at night. If I have a night game, I never sleep anyhow because I've so much energy. So much energy. So I just think about what could have done better in the game, if I could have helped the defender. But then the next day, it's gone. It's in the back of my mind. I go out and do a stretch, do a warm up, and go back out in the training ground, and then look at the video the following day and see what it's like in the game. I don't really watch a video straight away after the game, or probably the second or third day after the game, I will watch a video and see where I can improve, because we have to watch these videos to see where we can improve in the game. No point watching a game when you win 2-0 and you made 5 fantastic saves. You have to watch the bad games as well as a goalkeeper, because that's what made me a better keeper, when you make mistakes.
Right.
I made mistakes in big games at Manchester United. Probably made 2 or 3 big mistakes in 4 years in United. And I look back and says, why did I make that mistake? because that mistake, because I wasn't focused on the ball, I was concentrating on something else before I caught the ball. And it's just simple little things, and that's where you learn. But that's the thing, we have to be very careful. We have to look back and just say to the kids, it's okay making mistakes, but you have to understand you have to make less mistakes in the game. If you make one mistake, you have to make, if you make a mistake in the next 5 games, that's not too bad. The next 10 games, next 15, next 20 games, that's what you have to understand. You have to have a target, what you have to try and not make many mistakes in the game.
Right. It's
the same as winning and losing. Developing kids is brilliant. It's brilliant developing young outfield players, goalkeepers. But if the kids are losing, and manager's saying, "Come here, you played really well, but you lost." When they go into men's football or women's football, their mindset is, "Oh, it's okay. We lost the game, but we played okay." So how can we talk to the kids and say, to understand them, or to get them to the level that when you do go into football, especially in England and Europe and MLS, it's a business. And if you're not good enough and you make mistakes all the time, you're out of the job.
right. I think that's really important. You can learn from your losses, absolutely. But like you're saying, you don't want to be making the same mistakes. And there's a difference. I mean, sometimes they're just good goals. Like,
no, that's different.
Yeah,
That's different.
Yeah, they're just good goals,
yeah.
Or your team is not working for you and you're doing everything you can, and there was nothing else you could do more. You did your best to get there,
Yeah,
but
that's completely different.
Keepers
Keepers got the toughest job. I know we're goalkeepers. We're all goalkeepers, like probably in this podcast. But for me, we're type of people like it's the toughest position on the park. Definitely toughest position on the park. You make one mistake, it's a goal. If you pass that ball out the wrong way, it's a goal. You know what I mean? So how tough do you have to be to be a goalkeeper? You cannot be. You have to be strong. You have to be mentally strong to put it in the back of your head. I played a game there 3 weeks ago in the Irish Cup. I made a mistake in the first 10 minutes and they scored from it. And the manager came up to me after the game and he said, "Roy, you know, if that was a young goalkeeper, he would have just folded in the first 10 minutes. We won the game 2-1 and we got through because I kept playing the way I was playing before the mistake. And then after the mistake, I carried on playing. And that's what, I'm not saying that's what won the game, but I'm just saying we'll make mistakes. We will make mistakes where you bounce back from it. And, but hopefully that's my last mistake, like, fingers crossed.
I think that's a really good point, though. I mean, what do you tell your goalkeepers over there when you make a mistake in the game? How do you coach them through being mentally tough? And is it like a self-talk, or do you have a certain process of walking them through that psychological aspect of the game?
Okay, my goalkeeping school is from 9 to 16-year-olds. So I do 9 and 16. So do 9 and 12, and then do 13, 16-year-olds. So the 9 and 12 is like enjoying it, teaching them a bit of techniques, getting used to the ball at the feet, playing football, just enjoying life. You know what I mean? That's what I love to see. Kids playing, diving around in the goal mouth and just having a great time. You know what I mean? Right. 13, 16 is more discipline, less mistakes in the game. Try and focus more in the game, because when you're a young age, you don't focus as much. And I work for the Northern Ireland under 17s and Northern Ireland under 19s as well. So that's a difference. That's different. You're playing international football, you're playing European Championships, you're playing World Cup qualifiers games. So it's basically more like a men's game. And when you turn on the 17 level, it's mistakes has to be less mistakes. And the thing is, you have to prepare them the right way, because you have to get them comfortable, be comfortable in the game, confidence in themselves, because you don't want them too nervous in the game.
Right.
So as a coach, you have to get them comfortable for the game. Under 19s, that's another step up then. And the way I try and talk to the keepers is like, just focus on the game again. That's the word what coaches mostly say. Focus on the game. Focus who you're playing against. Focus where that ball's coming in. Catch the ball. The old cliche: keep your eye on the ball the whole way until you have it in your hands.
Yep.
And just things out there. And I want them to have my trust. I want them to have my trust, like, and I want them to talk to me. If there's anything on the mind, just talk to me. And I think a lot of young kids understands that now, because with all the podcasts I've been doing and Zoom chats, and they know what I've went through, so they're happy enough to speak to me about things.
Right. It's so important too. The relationship, I say it over and over again, the relationship with a goalkeeper and their goalkeeping coach is sacred. It's very, very special. And, just trust is everything. And I feel like among goalkeepers and those that we trust, we keep in our life for a very long time. Speaking of goalkeeper coaches, are there any goalkeeper coaches that you've had in your professional career that have been just very, they've impacted you in a great way? And what did you learn from them?
I've had many goalkeepers over my career, and I had the one I really enjoyed and worked with was the goalkeeping coach at Olympiacos. Please do not ask me to pronounce his name. It's
Is it Greek?
Name. Yeah,
we'll have to get Nico to say it.
Yeah, he can say it, is right.
His Greek is way better.
He was really good, not just on the training ground, but he understood me. It was hard because I'm from Northern Ireland, he's Greek. I don't know how he understood me, but he understood what the type of person I was. And Tony Colton, I really got to know him really well as well at Manchester United. He brought me in at Manchester United, and I got to know him very well. So I had many goalkeeping coaches over the year, but I'm sitting here saying I had many goalkeepers. I had a few goalkeeping coaches that I fell out with because it's the parcel of the game. You don't get on, you clash quite a bit, like, and that's just where the soccer was. Like, you do clash with personality, and that was my problem with a few goalkeeping coaches, but mostly probably 85-90% of them were good coaches to me as well.
Right. There's a person for everybody, but not everybody's for everybody. So
it's true though.
Let's talk about your journey to Man U. Talk to us about how that came about.
I moved over to England when I was just turned 17. I went for trials at Hull City, and I just turned 17. I was playing for a men's team in Northern Ireland when I was 16, and I was playing against a scout. He was playing against me actually, and we lost the game 5-1. And he came up to me after the game. And said, "Do you want to go for a trial? Because we think you look decent and you did really well in the game." And I said, "I've let 5 goals in." And he said, "We know, Roy, you let 5 goals in, but your attitude was good from start to finish. No matter what the score was, your attitude was fantastic the whole way through the game. And there's a team in England wants you to go for a trial." Went to England for a trial for 1 week, and I broke my finger on the first day. So I thought that was my trial finished. My trial with Hull City at the time. I thought my career was over at Hull. Got a phone call a month later. I just turned 17, and I got a phone call, and they said, "We want you to come over. We want to send you like a scholarship, the college scholarship, but in them days it was YTS." And I went to Hull City then. 6 months later, signed a professional contract when I was 17, and then I started playing football for the first team, and I got a move to Wigan. And the Hull City needed money, so they sold me to Wigan, and Wigan had me for 4 years, and then I moved to Manchester United in 2001. In 2001, I moved to Manchester United, but I was supposed to be going to Leicester City first, because I went down to speak to Peter Taylor, the manager at Leicester City. They just got promoted to the Premier League, and he rang. We shook hands on it, never signed the contract for some reason. I can't remember why we didn't sign the contract, but he said we'll have a press conference on Monday morning. So I got a phone call Sunday night, said, "Roy, no, we're not going for you now, because we're going for an experienced goalkeeper, because we just got promoted. We have to get an experienced goalkeeper to come in." So I was a bit upset about that. Next day I got a phone call from the agent, said Sir Alex wanted to speak to me from Manchester United, and I thought it was a joke, so I put the phone down. And he rang me back, said, "Oh, Sir Alex wants to speak to you." And that was okay. I went back, next day I went to speak to Sir Alex, and that was it. I went to speak to
What
Sir
was
Alex.
that like? How old were you?
When I turned, I was, how old was I? I went to Manchester United. I was 23 when I joined Manchester United.
Oh my
23.
gosh. Tell us about
And then
that.
everybody-
Walking in, seeing, I mean, how did that, what was that day like? Can you describe that to us?
When I first walked in to speak to Sir Alex, it was 3 weeks before the season, pre-season started. So I went to speak to the manager, and we just sat for a couple of hours talking. I think an hour and 45 minutes was just talking about my family and what was it like outside football, and how's my family life, and how's the kids doing, and my wife and my mum and dad. I think it was brilliant speaking to him about outside football. And about 15 minutes was just talked about the football, what he wanted from me, and he says, we've been watching you for 2 years, and we want this. We've seen enough over the years what we've went to watch you, and we want you to come here as number 2 and back up to Fabian Barthez. For me personally, it was unbelievable. Couldn't believe it. But I had to think about what am I going to do here? Not play football or learn to play football, because you're playing for the best players in the world. I had no goalkeeping training hardly in the first 6 years I was at England, because in the lower leagues, you couldn't afford coaches. So it was probably maybe 2 or 3 times a month a goalkeeping coach would have came in. So that was difficult times. So I was just pretty raw. My technique wasn't the best. But then when I moved to Manchester United, I got goalkeeping coach every day, and I learned a lot there as well, playing for the best players. But the funniest thing was when I was sitting waiting for the pre-season to start, I was waiting for 3 weeks. And this is no lie. I don't think I couldn't sleep for 3 weeks, thinking, what am I going to say to all these superstars, the likes of Roy Keane, David Beckham, Gary Neville, Ryan Giggs, Fabian Barthez. I didn't know what to say to them all. And the first day I got in, it was brilliant. Everybody just made me feel so welcome. And at the end of the session, I just thought, Kimmy, I've been here for many, many years, because it just felt like it was like home. And that's the good thing about playing a quality team like Manchester United. You feel so welcome when you walk through the front doors, and it's like a family club.
Right.
And I think that's why Manchester United was so successful in the early 90s and the early 2000s.
Right. I've read a lot from Tim Howard's book, and just listening to you, and just other things that I've read about Sir Alex, that he was very intentional about making sure the players' off-field life was in order, because he didn't want any distractions on field. Is that right?
That's 100% right. Yeah, it's like I moved to United, and I think everything was okay. It was coming out of my wages. Everything was paid, like the electric bill, you name it, telephone bills. They were all looked after, because all we had to do was focus on the game, focus on the training pitch. And
That's amazing.
The worst thing was when I had to leave Manchester United, you had to start looking after yourself again. That was the hardest part. That's the hardest part, though.
You mean you got to grow up?
Problem, you see, being a big club.
You have to grow up and be an adult. That's awesome.
No, but Kimmy, that's it does happen to people, though. People rely on other people to help them, and that's what happens when you're in a big professional career, Manchester United. And I moved to West Ham after that, and then had to move down to London and look for a house and sort the house out and do everything. Right.
It changes everything. How many years were you at Manchester United total?
Well, I was at Manchester United for 4 years. I was at United for 4 years, and it was great 4 years. I learned a lot from a lot of players, and the coaching staff was brilliant. I learned a lot from the manager, Sir Alex, not just on the pitch but off the pitch as well. The way he treated the players, and I think it was really good how he spoke to players. Sometimes he can speak a bit loud to him as well. That's what the football was like. But it was funny enough. Like my last season, I probably played the most games in my last season, and he pulled me in January. He pulled me in January and asked me, "Would you like that? We would like you to stay on for another 4 years." And the opportunity to stay at Manchester United for another 4 years. I was 27 at the time. And I wanted to play football because I've learned my trade. I've won the Premier League with Manchester United. I won the FA Cup with Manchester United, and I wanted to play on now, and I wanted to get as many games I could play, and I had an opportunity to go to West Ham at the time. So it was a big decision to leave Manchester United, but I spoke to a few senior players, and I'm not saying names but I spoke to a few senior players, had a good chat with the players, and basically made my mind up what I wanted to do even before I wanted to speak to the senior players. But was for me then was go and play as many games as I can in my career. And that's what I always wanted to do when I was a young lad, was play as many games as I could in the high standard of football. And my high standard of football was in professional football in England, and I was quite lucky to get that.
I mean, that experience just to start your Premier League career, do you think your career would have went the way it went as well as it did had you not started with that foundation at Man U? Do you think it would be, have you ever thought about that? Would it be any different, do you think, if you went to another club instead?
No, I think things happen for a reason in life. That's why I realise now things happen for a reason. But at the time, all my goal was to see where I live in Northern Ireland. It's a small country. And if you're not from Belfast, I live in the countryside. If you're not from Belfast in the mid-90s, nobody would have came down in the countryside and watched me play football. So I was lucky. Things in life, you need a bit of luck. And I had that bit of luck. I played against a player who was a scout for the other team, for Hull City. And he came up to me after the game. And the opportunity to go to England, I couldn't turn it down. So that was the luck that started. And my first thing when I was a young lad was to be a professional footballer. As I said before, that was my goal. I made a professional footballer when I was 17 at Hull City. My next goal was, how far can I go in my career? Right. And my next goal was as play as high as I could. But I never thought, 5 years later, I would have been sitting talking to Sir Alex Ferguson. No way. I would never thought that, because I never thought when I was 15 years old, sitting in Fermanagh in Northern Ireland, that I'd be playing for Manchester United. Right. Sometimes I have to pinch myself sometimes and say, come here, I don't realise what I've done in my career. I just feel like I'm just a normal person, and I just enjoy life and try and help people and give my knowledge to other people as well.
Right. And that's, I mean, every one of my mentors in the sport have said the same thing. You know, once you retire, your job is to give back.
Yeah. Great saying. Very good saying that is. I've noticed it's like everybody say, when you get older, you understand things about life. And if you knew what you knew now back when you were 19, 18, and that's why I remember now when people are telling me when they're 35 years old, retiring from football, it says, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. Right. And that's why I understand about football now. But sometimes you have to learn yourself, and that's the way I went down the road. I had to learn myself how to get through injuries, how to get myself back through depression, get off the alcohol, and get back to a normal life and enjoy life again. Enjoy the enjoyment of playing football again. That's the main thing. Enjoyment is a big thing. If you lose that enjoyment of playing football, there's no point being in the game.
Right. I can relate. I was always told, if it feels like a job and it's no longer fun, that's the day you need to evaluate. Do you want to retire and stop playing? And it's a scary feeling. I mean, we all cross those roads, but as you said in the beginning, we can always come out of retirement, right?
Yeah. But it is a job. It's still a job, but I think you can still enjoy it as well. But when you're under pressure as a young player, it will go through everybody's midlife, especially a footballer. It's like 25, 26, 27. That's when a lot of young players coming through a stage to be thinking my career's nearly over, because 33, 34, getting closer to the 30 mark. But they have to just take each year as it comes, enjoy every year you play, because you don't know what's around the corner. And that's what I learned. And I never thought I would have been sitting here talking to you and saying I've got one more game left in the Irish League 2 years ago, because I think I couldn't even hardly walk when I met you in Baltimore. My knee was hanging off still with ACL.
You hadn't gotten surgery yet? You hadn't gotten surgery?
No, I had the surgery, like, but I was just coming through it. I was just coming off it, like, so I was limping. You thought I was quite old. You thought I was old because I was walking like a bad leg, like, but it wasn't.
No, I'm not that mean. Wow. Well, I want to wrap this up here. And I always ask this question, but what is the best advice you can give to our audience, from the youth players, the pros, coaches, parents?
Mm.
You know, what is the best advice that you've learned through all your playing years that you can help them?
See, you said a lot of people there, like, because can I say one thing before saying advice here? But the parents as well, they need that they could speak as well, speak up as well, because they go through so a lot of emotion. I remember my
Yeah.
mum used to watch me. She still can't watch me playing football. She has to record the game, and if I let it go, then she won't watch it. Like, she's so nervous. So
Mm,
parents, please, like, don't speak to your coaches, and if there's anything on your mind, speak to the coaches and let them know, because parents do go through a lot of emotions as well with the kids, and that's
not
a
even
big
just
thing.
the kids, the parents, the brutal field parents telling them what their goalkeeper should do. That seems to be
You're going to get tell them that they'll get that for the rest of their lives. That's what even managers will say it. Like, managers think they know what to do about goalkeepers, but that's just where life is. No, come here. My advice to people, like, is especially in my life, what I went through is, like, always try and stay positive in life. There's always another day, and
right.
give everything you can each day you wake up.
Right. It's so important. Just this, the sun always shines, right? After
Oh, no,
after a hard
not,
rain.
not if you're living over here. It's always raining.
Oh, that just messed that up.
That's why it's so green. It's always it's raining now. Oh, hang on, a bit of sun's come out now.
See?
A bit of sun's come out.
Where's
it's
the
true though,
rainbow? You are in Ireland.
Come here, it's always be positive in life, and no matter. Come here, I never thought I'd been sitting talking to you about me being a Northern Ireland goalkeeping coach for the national football, and it's just like, you don't know what's life's going to bring you to you.
Right.
It's just
Talk
keep
about
giving
that
everything.
real quick. You just got that you were telling me you got the call up for 10 days with the full team, National Ireland,
The full
Northern
team,
Ireland,
yeah, full team.
for Northern
Yeah,
Ireland.
I was supposed to go. I was going Northern Ireland. I was supposed to be going with the under-19s,
Mhm.
and 3 days before we had the meet up, I got a phone call for the first team. They said we're going to Italy. Then we played the Americans, we played the USA, and then we played Bulgaria. So we had 3 games, and it was some experience. Really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot. See behind the scenes, behind the coaching style of. You could be sitting and talking, doing meetings with the coaches for 3 or 4 hours. It's frightening. So it was. It really opens the eyes. But Kimmy, I really enjoyed it, and I want to hopefully get some more in the future.
I'm sure it's going to come. I'm confident in that for sure. So, yep. Fingers crossed. I got it for you.
Fingers crossed.
Well, thank you so much, Roy, for taking time out of the day to speak to everybody. Definitely, you've got an incredible story and you are making an impact. And I appreciate you being so open about your past struggles that have now become victories, and just how you're helping others. Now, I think it's anybody, no matter your background, can have an impact. But I truly believe that with yours, you're reaching a population of professional athletes that are struggling behind closed doors, like you did back in the day, and giving them permission to talk. And that is, not everybody can reach that population. And respect is everything in that at that level of play and trust.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody hasn't said this, and I know you don't need to hear it. You're a very humble man, but thank you for doing that, because that's only going to help bring the best out of those professionals to inspire our next generation of leaders. So thank you for doing that and continuing to talk about that.
No, thank you very much. It was great to be on to speak about my career and the ups and downs in the soccer game. And hopefully see you soon someday. I'll be back over to America some of these days. Hopefully do a bit of coaching, maybe even play football.
Yeah, we would
I
love
have
to
to
have
stop
you
saying
in.
football. I apologise. I say soccer. Sorry. I have to
It's
stop saying.
okay. They need to catch up to the real name, which is football.
Oh, no, it's soccer. It's soccer. I'm talking to the American orange, the Americans here, so it's soccer. I
Oh.
apologise.
No worries. Thank you, Roy.
Thank you very much.